Great. So apparently we're working in this really startup mode here because just like a minute ago, we managed to get rid of another moderator. So otherwise we would have had two. I have prepared some numbers for you to start out, not to overload you with too many numbers, just to give you a bit of the background. So apparently, according to some estimates, European Union needs about 500,000 up to 1.7 million new ICT professionals in 2 years. And out of that, Estonian estimate is somewhere in between 6,000 and 8,500. And currently, about 4% of the whole workforce in Estonia is hired in ICT. That's slightly higher than the EU average, and we are ranking as 5th in the EU for that. So if we look at those numbers, and apparently the universities will not be able to provide all these thousands and almost millions of people that we might need. So we have some people on the panel who are working to fix that issue, and some other who are those people. So maybe Tiina, we will start with you. So you were one of those people who. Your background is in psychology, and you've been doing some research work before, and then at some point you discovered that this is not what I want to do. I actually want to become an ICT professional. So how did you switch this? Switch your profession?
Yeah. Well, I was at home with children for a few years, and then I decided I don't want to do what I did before. And I heard about the program where they promised to teach you to code with 3.5 months. And I was thinking, well, why not to try?
And the program is called?
The program is called Vali IT, or Choose IT in English. It's a program by, I think,
the Ministry of Economics.
of Economics and the European Union. And well, I participated in the first course when they had, and we had 6 weeks in classroom teaching, like 8 an hour every day. And after that, I went to Ericsson, where I just started working with other developers.
And now you're a junior software developer at Catapult Labs.
Yeah.
Basically, you code for work every day.
Every day, yeah. I have been now coding every day for 2 years.
And you love your job.
And I love my job, and it's only going better, I think.
So Armonia, Simplon does something similar in France and other countries, 15 countries all across Europe and other continents as well. So you're looking at Africa and to the Asian direction. And now, as we heard from the previous talk, that Estonia might be next. So tell us, for those who went here for your fireside chat, so what is that, what you do, and how do you find those people to participate in your 6 months program?
Yes, so Simplon is a network of what we call digital factories. So we train people from all backgrounds during 6 months to become either junior full stack web developers or data developers. We have a cybersecurity, blockchain. We have quite a wide range of programs, but we are on this 6 month period because, I mean, from our experience, that's the minimum required to have a professional level from when people come to us who do not have a diploma. And that's the maximum that we can ask someone to be out of the job market without earning revenues, because even if it's for free, during the 6 months, they do not have time to work. And so far, we have trained 3,200 people in the next 5 years, and we have a success rate of 80%. So 80% means that after 6 months, that's the percentage who finds a job into the field that they studied after the Simplon training. 80% of the people who arrive at Samplon are unemployed when they join the program. The average age is 28 years old in France, meaning that it's mainly professional change. And we have 35% of women. We are quite proud of this percentage, even if we're aiming at the parity 50-50. But 35 is already the double of a female representation in ICT sector in France. And also we have a special focus on some groups like refugees. So in Paris region, 7% are people with refugees status. And we are starting in 2018 a handicap program. About how we attract these people to our programs, I'd like to mention really 3 points. The first one is the terminology. We don't talk about schools, we talk about digital factories. They're not students, they are trainees. There is no note, there is a continuous evaluation process. There are no professors, there are trainers. So it seems, I mean, it might sound as a very basic difference, but it's not, because if we talk with people who failed at school, hearing back school terminology can be a little bit annoying. So we really reshape how we see also them, because between being a student and a trainee or a learner, there is also, I mean, a more philosophical difference. The second one is the selection process. We do not ask for CVs, because they might not be proud of what they did before. We go for a selection process who really looks into the motivation and its logical thinking, but it's not about sending a classic CV. Because we feel that a standard CV would discourage some profiles. And the third one is that we cannot allow ourselves to fail. And for us, failing means that they do not find a job after the training. Because when someone comes to us and during 6 months they are in training, 6 months when you are 28 years old and you have to pay bills is quite a long time. So you need to be successful and find a job. To be sure they find a job, all our batches are sponsored by an enterprise. And the enterprise is not just about money, it's about engaging to hire the people we train. So we build up the curriculum with the company, and the company is an active stakeholder. So we have Capgemini, BNP, Société Générale. Now we have partnership with Microsoft for our AI program, and so on and so forth. So I think these are 3 very important points to attract people to our programs.
So I was actually amazed. You mentioned 35% of your the people who have participated in your program have been women. That's an amazing number, because overall in Europe, the percentage of women in ICT is around 20 to 25%, so slightly higher in Estonia. Again, Estonians are always proud to point out how well we do. And Mari-Liis, what you started, or one of the co-founders of Tech Sisters, you aim to bring more women to tech. So how do you do that?
Yeah, well, we started Tech Sisters 5 years ago with the exact thinking in mind, that there are so few women in technology in Estonia, and it was a group of women working in tech, and we wanted to set up a non-profit with basically 3 aims. First, to bring together the women who are already working in the tech field, to create a community of them, that they would become the advocates of getting more women into tech. Then doing like very basic level training in tech field for adults who want to change careers, such as Tiina was doing. So while Tiina's program was kind of top down from ministry level, so we are like a volunteer organization doing like bottom-up activity, grassroots level training activities for women. And the third track is that we do is we work with teenage girls. So in order to demystify technology for them, because a large part of the reason why there are so few women in tech is that they don't really know what the field is about. The teenage girls usually think it's either fixing computers or writing code, and that's the field. But that's not the case. So we are trying to show a quite broad view of what the whole industry is about and what are the different career opportunities within that.
Mm-hmm. So Tiina, you are actually the one who writes code.
Yeah.
And you mentioned there were 40 people who started in your course and 38 out of those actually graduated.
Yeah.
But many of these are women, as I understand.
There was also like half women, half
Half and
men.
half.
So I think they like intentionally took people.
But in your workplace today, what's the situation there?
In the team I work right now, I'm the only female developer, but we have in our company one female developer more, and I have met some more, but like few.
But out of the women or everybody in your workplace, you also mentioned that like half of them don't have education in the ICT field.
Yeah, or they don't have. At least they haven't graduated. They have some of them have started, but then just dropped out in some point.
So this is also a thing that was mentioned in one of the surveys done by Praxis, the company, that even though people who graduate from universities, even with a master's degree, they might not be what the companies actually need, and they will have to train them in the workplace. So would you say you are, can you see a difference there in the workplace, that now that you've come straight out of this program where you learn Java programming, that you're somehow advantaged in, or
I guess
not really?
There is like value in university studies also, because I don't have any like theoretical background, and sometimes I feel like I should have it more. But to start working as a software developer, it's not so much needed, but you should learn it later. So I guess maybe if the curriculum in university would be more practical, maybe people would still finish it. But right now it is like.
Okay, and Simplon, as I understand, you also provide, because they have to do these practical exercises provided by your partners,
yes,
who are big companies. So does that mean that they have like a secure job offer after they finish the program?
Yeah, it's a very project-based pedagogy. So during the 6 months, they have to do minimum 9 projects, who are real case projects given by enterprises. So they have the double advantage to have a portfolio when going out to present to the company. And second, they can be, when they present the projects to the company, they gain visibility. So it increases their hiring opportunities. All of these projects are done by groups of 2 at least. So it means how in a real work environment you do not work alone, you work in a team. And at the end, only at the end, they have a big standalone project for the final evaluation. So yes, that's very important, and I think the formal education system should learn from our initiatives and to change and shift from competition within primary and secondary school. I mean, this is not a word anymore for competition; it's a word for collaboration, and our national education ministry has to understand this.
That's a very good point. And both Armonia and Mari-Liis, you pointed out that also we need to take care of the right terminology, that the words we use wouldn't scare off these people who are potentially interested. So Mari-Liis, if you do you have like some keywords that you try to avoid when you try to reach out to those girls, or how does it work?
We actually don't really avoid any keywords, but we try to more like encourage new types of words there, or new types of approach, and when we describe or invite the girls to our events, so the events basically what we do with the teenage girls are, these are like inspirational days at a tech company. So there are three things that the girls would get from there. It's they see what a tech company looks like, because usually teenagers, what they know is what their own parents' workplace looks like and what the school looks like. But generally, they don't have an understanding of what a workplace, the future workplace would look like. The second thing is that they get the practical workshops, and the third thing is these workshops are done by women who work there, so that they also get the cool female role models in tech, so that they don't only need to think that it is a guy's thing. Because I think a lot of this mindset that it's a guy's thing is enforced by parents and schools, and we see that also a lot when we actually approach schools and invite girls from different schools to participate at our events. And sometimes the school administration can be the gatekeeper, saying that, oh, we got the information, but we didn't really spread it in our school because our girls are not interested in these types of things. And it's like, and how's that? How do you know that? Like, why are you saying this? So I think it's we need to talk to girls in the language that they understand. We need to invite them and show them what it's like. And Estonia, in that sense, I think is a very good place to do it, because we have so many very good female tech entrepreneurs here who are very open about their experiences and are really willing to give back to the society and share their own story with the girls and encourage them to look in the field. Yeah.
To Tiina, you were never held back by someone telling you that, oh, maybe you as a woman shouldn't try this out.
I have heard opinions like, you are a developer, how this will be possible. And I have met in workplace also very few people who are really, really suspicious at first how you will do it. But so far everyone have changed their minds, so it's good. But still it's going a little bit like going to boys club. It's like they're all male there. They can't help it, it's a boys club, so so it's like the first one is hard to be a little bit. Although
and this
they
is also, I think, often the reason why women don't actually stay in the tech field, or the studies show that, because it's kind of they are so few of them there, so that they don't feel too comfortable. So I hope that's not the case in your case, but what we've heard quite a lot, within our community, is that you're pointed out as a diversity hire sometimes, okay, so you're here just because we needed diversity in the company, and that's a very lame thing to say to anyone, right? And I think it's very easy for women who have even started tech, studying or working in tech, to kind of decide at one point that, okay, maybe I'm not welcome here.
But it's not just the women. So 24% of all the ICT students drop out their first year of studies. So it's not just, and it has been pointed out that their expectations might not meet what is actually offered in the universities, and also sometimes it's just too difficult for them. So Armonia, in your case, how do you get those? You already mentioned that it's one thing is the terminology, not to use the school terminology that's already scared them off once, but how do you get them back on track?
Yes, so I was saying probably is about making sure that the promise that the curriculum fits the expectation of the job market, it's very important. And on this, I'd like to underline that there is also quite a lot of education on the enterprise side and on the HR department to change their mindset. For instance, I was in Morocco a few weeks ago, where we opened our first factory with 100 trainees in a very poor city called Yusufia. where there are 40% are illiterate. So I mean, it's a quite disadvantaged background. It's a mining city. And then we're talking with company, with a big local company, which I'm not going to mention, but they say, oh, we are struggling to find talents, and our turnover rate is like over 50% because all the talented people, they fly to France. So I was saying, okay, great, in 1 year from now, you are going to have 100 trainees who are going to fit to your requirements. And then they tell me, yes, but they don't have an official certificate. So I mean, you need these people. I'm telling you, let's build together the program, and they are going to fit to your needs. And then they get stuck in their salary grid where you need this diploma or that diploma to be A-level, entry level. So there is a lot of pedagogy to do, also the business side. And that they understand that it doesn't matter anymore, this diploma. And just to complete on this, also the public policies are very important. In France, we have two quite amazing initiatives. One is the Grande École du Numérique, so it's the digital big, wide school. So it's a program where the government finance up to 70,000 euros the inclusive digital boot camps. So inclusive means, targeting underrepresented groups in the IT sector. So this has been, this initiative has really boosted the number of vocational training centers across France. And the other one who has been came out this year is the I'm translating in my mind, is the skills investment plan, aiming at train 1 million people with unemployed or with no diploma into digital skills in the next years. So, when we talk about inclusion, it's also about money, and for this, governments are a key partner, because if we want to be for free, someone has to pay, it has to be free for the beneficiary. Mm-hmm. So companies and the government are key partners.
But so far we've been talking about the sort of initial push. So, but what about the complementary training in the workplace?
Yes.
Like, is that also part of this program, or are you also supporting that?
Yes, very good point, because today, we have people who are already unemployed, but there are also people who are going to be unemployed if the digital transition is not taken into account in their training. And at Samplon, we have upskilling and reskilling programs. For instance, we have the, how is in English, the people bringing the mail service to home, the
postman.
The postman.
Yeah.
So the French post office is one of the biggest public company in France, as in many countries, and we have been training a postman to become web developers within the post group. So they don't change employer, but they change job within the same company. So this is preventing unemployment, and is also preventing the money to lose, the company to lose money, because postmen in France, until recently, they are public employees, so basically you cannot fire them. So it's, we are doing a double service to the human being who feels again useful, and to the company who don't have useless employees. So again, yeah, that's a very good point, to keep training people even once they are within your company.
That's a very good point, because I got mad at my in the local post office. I got mad at the lady who was and I actually told her that you're gonna be replaced by machines. So the only extra service that you can offer me is being human right now, which she wasn't really good at. So that I would welcome if Estonian post would also do some extra training in the skills. But Tiina, so you've had your job now for 2 years. So what about the extra training? Have you discovered what skills, extra skills you might need, and how is that been treated by your employer?
Well, being software developer means like you have to learn every day, even if you have been 10 years. So yeah, I'm learning right in my workplace. I have always mentors from who I can ask if I have some questions. And well, I would go to courses, but we don't have in Estonia to take something like some good courses about JavaScript or web development. So that's the problem, yeah.
But how would you see as a professional, how would you see this, like we always talk about this work-life balance, and obviously the life part is something for yourself, and then the work part is for your employer. So what would be the best way to combine those two?
Well, I have to say it's a bit hard for me, the work and life balance, because I have 2 small children, and well, at least the first year I was learning at workplace and after home also, so it took quite a lot of time. But now Catapult Labs is like very, how to say, like
accommodating.
Yeah. So I can have if I need to choose my own things, I can have like free day and then to make the work stuff later. So, and also the learning part can be done in the work time, so I don't have to do it at home. Sometimes I want to do it because it's interesting, but yeah, they are very supportive in that case.
So surveys point to a growing need of complementary courses, and lifelong learning is the key word these days. And like anyone can go online and find online courses there. But Mari-Liis, you've also started another project here in Estonia that has been introduced today as well. So Vivistop just opened in a Japanese concept imported to Estonia. So how would you see that supporting this whole concept of demystifying ICT?
Yeah, well, Vivistop is our Vivita as a concept is a creativity accelerator for kids, and our aim is to empower the kids in taking their own lead in learning by themselves, and in this environment, the adults are merely basically mentors or supporters in their course. So the kids initiate all the projects and all the learning experiences they want to do, and they just ask for advice from adults. And we've been testing this out in Japan for now a bit more than a year, 1.5 years, and the results there have been very inspiring. So this is the reason why we decided to bring it also to Estonia, to test it here and see how it works with the Estonian kids. So I believe in this lifelong learning and in this self-led learning. I think the current education system needs kind of a shift. It's stuck in the model of the 19th century and the 20th century, but right now we need something different. We cannot just force an amount of knowledge to anyone, be it then university students or school kids or like anyone in the job market. It's more about well, anyone can go online and read. So it's more about really encouraging the problem-solving skills and trying to find the solutions everywhere. So I was quite intrigued when you said that there are in Morocco the employers still expect you to have a certificate, while I think here one of the major reasons why students actually drop out from university is that the employers don't see the value in certificates. So the students, of course, drop out as soon as they go for an internship and see that, okay, this is practical. I actually learned here. I actually do these things here. So I think that's so this self-led learning is the course that we are all going to go more and more now.
How do we overcome these hurdles? Like, we have those parents who are sticking to their old values, and we have those employers who still ask for the diploma. So obviously we can always say that, okay, it's gonna take a generation to change the mindset, but we don't have that time. Things are moving far too rapidly for that. So how do we overcome this?
I mean, it's day-by-day work. I mean, I don't have an answer like that, but again, in France, the government is promoting this, so is doing lobbying at its level. And then we are confident that the need of people from, I mean, there are unfilled positions. So the employers are going to be obliged, and they start to being obliged to look at different profiles. So in the short term, it's going to be the need for talents is going to drive. And then in the long term, all the initiatives starting with kids. Also we do activities for kids. We already outreached 150,000 kids in Africa and in Europe. And so yes, it's a combination of kinds of short-term initiatives and some more long-term. And then also the technology advances. As you are saying, today machines can, are going to replace more and more repetitive tasks. So it's also up to us as citizens to change our approach and to be willing to learn and to have our added value face to face to machines. So, yeah.
And obviously we need to address those fears. So many people are afraid of this moment when it happens, and for a good cause. So how should we address those fears?
I mean, probably knowledge. The first thing is the knowledge. I mean, when you know and you understand, you get out of fear. So it can be, today, for instance, the big tech festival are quite closed within themselves, like having these events more open to public, to general public and to people outside the tech sector can be one first thing. And then when you present technology as an opportunity for a new job and for a life change, even when you're 40 or 50 years old, because people are scared about jobs, they're scared about losing their jobs. But if you say it doesn't matter, you can change, and become part of this new world pretty easily. They're going to be less scared. If you tell them, oh, actually a machine is coming, bye-bye, then of course they're going to be scared. So it's about also what's the added value of, and I think it's more ethical and a more global question. What is being a human today in this new world, and what's the difference between us and a machine?
That's a really good question to raise in a robotics conference setting. So we will all probably go later to the robotics competition and see how these, how the robots can actually be very, very human as well. Yeah. But we have 5 minutes left, so maybe there's a question in the audience. I see one here. A mic. It's coming. Okay.
Sorry. So my name is Sébastien, and I have a question. Because you said Estonia is doing pretty good in terms of women inclusion in digital compared to other EU countries. But at the same time, we know that the pay gap in Estonia is pretty huge compared to?
We ranked the second in the world,
Yeah.
just behind Korea, South Korea.
So what about the salary in tech for women? And you mentioned earlier, like it's time for girls to enter the boys' club, but shouldn't be like the financial aspect be a big part of it, of entering the boys' club with the same financial conditions?
It's a very good question. So, who wants to take it first? How do we get into the boys' club and the salary section?
I believe like there's quite a few things that affect to the gender pay gap in Estonia. Like one is that women tend not to ask as much, but the other side is actually the quite generous maternity leave that women get, and that makes them stay away from the workforce for quite a long time, which upon return to the workforce results in the fact that you feel you are not as qualified anymore being away. Like if you get, I don't know, 2 or 3 kids in a row, and you would be away from the workforce 5 years or 6 years.
So it's 18 months full pay.
Yeah, in Estonia.
Yeah.
So it's
well, there's a limit, but
yeah. But still, it's so. And of course, if you've been away for 5 years, then returning to the workforce, you feel you've lost a bit of the qualification. Also, you then need to come to this work-life balance thing that you need to put a lot of effort in still raising the family and having a career at the same time. But so those are the reasons for the gender pay gap. But how to overcome it is I personally believe there should be a more transparent salary system, actually, so that the employers do not pay you less if you ask less. So, or because in Estonia the system is that it's a secret. Like the what you get paid is
unless you're a
unless you work in public sector. But it's and this kind of enhances that if you're not smart enough to ask enough, then we're not going to pay you what we pay to the guy next to you, right? So, and it's like there's a lot of research that shows that for some reason that if a family gets a kid, then the father after that is very willing to go and ask for a 20% raise in his salary, while the mother is like, okay, I'm willing to take less money now because maybe I will not be working as much. So it's a lot about changing the attitudes and also changing the overall system on how we approach this thing. Yeah, but thanks for pointing that out. I think it's important to mention that. We have a very big problem in that field.
Tiina, maybe you want to add, because you were, besides coming out from home with your kids, you also entered a completely new...
I wasn't ready to ask, but they were ready to pay as much as for the ones who are coming from university. So I think in tech field, it's if you can do whatever it's needed, then you will get the equal salary, I guess, in most companies.
And what's the situation like in France? You probably rank a bit
there
better.
is already there is again the gap. I think, if I'm not wrong, that is currently under discussion for transparency rules. They have been adopted recently by Germany, and it has been quite inspiring, I think, for other countries. Yeah, I mean, the maternity leave is not very generous in France, so that's not the point. Yeah, it's because of the first that maybe we ask less, and also there is a more part-time work among women. For instance, for the Wednesday afternoon when children stay home and there are more often women. So, I mean, there is also a role to be played by men in sharing responsibilities. For instance, usually, I mean, there is a lot of socialization within the company. It takes place in after-work drinks, and usually are women going back home and the men staying in the after-work drinks. So, I mean, they miss out some very important moments get known within the company and to get those social connections who are very important to grow up within the company. So I mean, it's all a system which salary is one of the problems. But I mean, it's a quite wide and complex problem. But the consciousness are raising up worldwide. So I have a lot of hope for, I mean, my generation and the next ones that they're going to access the market differently. And again, it's about having girls confident since primary school. I mean, we really have to raise the confidence of girls. And it's not about raising the confidence, it's not about killing it, because young girls are confident, but then they hear messages that discourage those children. So let's send a positive message to our girls and the male children for a better world.
Okay, and on that positive note, our time is up. And thank you all, and thank you, listeners.